Peace Through Trade, Arai Beckman here, founding partner, and welcome to Peace Through Trade episode number 1. This is where I'm hopping in and I'm sharing with you guys some of the current events, world news affecting Web3 and blockchain. Now, as you probably know, if you're watching this video on our socials, we are a regulation first compliant layer 1 proof of work sustainable blockchain named Peace Through Trade. And it is a very interesting time for the Web3 blockchain industry globally. The United States of America, under President Donald Trump's guidance, is determined to become a leader for global blockchain. And this is really what the entire industry has been waiting on. We've been waiting for the United States to get its acting gear and start legalizing and passing laws. Now, what they've already done is pass the Genius Act, the first ever blockchain and cryptocurrency law, allowing for stablecoins as the first step and a very good foundation for the entire industry globally. And what I'm predicting about to happen, as this usually happens in most industries, is as the United States passes their laws, other countries, especially those in the West and the G7, are going to follow suit, and we will see a domino effect occur throughout the rest of the world from there. Now, a number of nations, however, are very far behind with their regulatory process. So they haven't written their legislation and their laws don't exist in this industry yet either, but one law at a time that the United States pushes forward, other countries will follow suit. And this is what I'm predicting, just my opinion, could very well lead to next year, 2026, being a dot-com-like boom that we saw a few decades ago with the internet taking place in the world's financial markets and the global crypto markets for blockchain. So it's getting really, really exciting. Now, with Peace Through Trade, we built this obviously with a mission in place to uplift the quality of all through Web3, global, secure, and sovereign commerce on Peace Through Trade. And that's something that's very exciting. Now, Peace Through Trade also, we believe, is very secure, and it's going to have some very exciting things coming to light as we get closer and closer to the official announced ICO date for the Peace Through Trade coin. Once we have that date officially announced, you'll see here in the form of updates that we share with you the really good work that this incredible team that's a part of this project has done over the last 4.5+ years, including our plans for our own social video site that we're going to be building as one of the first examples of a layer 2 solution that we're going to be building ourselves on our layer 1 Peace Through Trade, as well as a global marketplace. Those are things we're very excited to share and announce to you. Also, you can check that out and learn more about them on our white paper. And we also have other very exciting partnerships that are already complete and solutions that are already complete, ready to go live. So in terms of updates, stay tuned here on these PTT shows where I will be sharing with you guys the updates we've got coming out. PTT right now officially, as of this episode number 3, is selling pre-ICO for $3 per Peace Through Trade coin. Now, there's no guarantees. This isn't obviously financial advice. There's always a risk, but I'm really happy to share with you that as soon as the $3 per Peace Through Trade coin price went live, we have sold in excess of $500,000 American already at that price. Prior to that, the $2 per PTT coin sold out and closed out, and the $1 coin closed out as well in about 12 hours. And that was after the 50-cent per Peace Through Trade coin round had closed out. But that was really a very early round that had been ongoing for quite some time, while we had majorly community leaders and other influencers that were excited to help us in the upcoming promotion once the ICO date is announced, to also help participate. So it's an exciting time. We've got great solutions coming to market, and the timing couldn't be any better. We couldn't have written a better script if we wanted to, with the United States now under this guidance of the President Donald Trump and their entire administration getting in line. Since then, the SEC also, at Donald Trump's request, has produced another document called Project Crypto. And there's also an amazing document. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to give it a read. The U.S. Digital Leadership document that the President Trump's administration has also published. Now, today for Peace Through Trade, episode 1, we're just trying out pushing live here for the first time to as many of our social accounts as we can. Yesterday, I briefly talked about World Liberty Financial. Now, this is a Trump family blockchain project. You can check it out on X, and I'm going to go ahead and screen share with you to share with you an update that's taken place just in the last 24 hours, which is really interesting. So let me share this with you here. There we go. Now you guys should be able to see my screen. So this is WLFI, World Liberty Fi. This is their official account. And what's also interesting, let me go ahead and show you guys another screen here. I'm going to share with you guys this. So this World Liberty Financial, or WLFI, it went public just a few days ago on the 1st of September, it now being, at the time of this recording, Friday, September the 5th. Now, what was interesting is that I shared an X yesterday on our first test live, an X post rather, yesterday I shared, where some X users were accusing the project WLFI of freezing crypto billionaire Justin Sun, the founder of Tron's WLFI wallet entirely, which is really, really interesting. So let me show you guys here my entire screen if I'm able to. That way I don't have to go tab by tab. Okay, great. So here's the project, WLFI. Now what happened was yesterday, actually, a number of X users were accusing Justin Sun, founder of Tron, they were alleging that his wallet had been frozen by the project, WLFI, which other X users had stated it held potentially upwards of about $500 million US of that token. Now, actually, as of today, or pardon me, yesterday rather, it says here at 9:32 p.m., Justin Sun's official X account posted the following. So he wrote here, to the World Liberty Financials team and the global community. Now, what's interesting about these allegations is they're not yet verified or proven. You can see his post has already been viewed by 1.7 million X accounts. Now, what's interesting, when he made this post, he didn't tag their official account here, which you can see here at World Liberty Fi. So if this account of Justin's wanted to make sure that the project saw his post, I'm not sure why they didn't tag the team. As one of the major early investors in World Liberty Financials, I have contributed not only capital, but also my trust and support for the future of this project. My goal has always been to grow alongside the team and community and to jointly build a strong and healthy WLF, left out the I there, ecosystem. However, during the course of operations, my tokens were unreasonably frozen. So what's interesting is that these X users pulled up the Blockchain Explorer and showed what they were alleging was Justin Sun's WLFI wallet. The 500 million US worth of those tokens was blacklisted. So that would mean that the tokens could not be sold, moved, or transferred out of that. I don't understand how permanent blacklisting is. I would imagine if they did it, perhaps at some point they could open it up as well. But that was really, really interesting. Why would the founder of Tron, a blockchain billionaire, Justin Sun's wallet be frozen? What's the reasoning behind that? Now, I've got my whole screen sharing going on here because WLFI has not yet made a statement about his wallet being frozen or what's happening. And then I also want to show you guys here on coinmarketcap.com. It shows here Crypto Uncle. Coinmarketcap.com has reposted this, saying that his address was blacklisted for transferring $9 million worth of WLFI. And you can see here that this user, Crypto Uncle, has screenshotted here on X the evidence that they're stating shows this. Okay. So this was, I believe you can see here his wallet address showing what appears to be north of $2 billion worth of funds in total US. And then here is the transaction that they're stating was valued, 50 million of these WLFI was valued at potentially $9 million. This is an Arkham report screenshot that gets a little complicated, but what's interesting is you can see this. Crypto Uncle then goes on to state that Justin Sun wallet of WLFI is locked by the protocol, meaning he can't sell directly. So he came up with, this is now Crypto Uncle's alleged statement here on X. So he came up with a so-called 20% APY investment scheme, luring users to deposit their WLFI. He then uses those, now these are allegations by Crypto Uncle, he then uses those tokens to dump on the market and cash out. So those are allegations here by Crypto Uncle. Now, what's interesting is we can see here, if we go on CoinMarketCap to the WLFI token, you can see here, let me show you guys this. We don't want to see posts. We want to actually go to the actual token here. Give me a sec, guys. I'm actually going to go here. All right, here you can see. So right now it's trading at about 18 cents per token. Let it pull up. You can see here it had its ICO over on September the 1st. CoinMarketCap's chart is showing it having reached an all-time high here of 32 cents. But you can actually see that they also show in their data that on certain exchanges, it had actually reached an all-time high of 46 cents. So, and that was on September the 1st. So in the past 4 days, it's already gone down about 60%. Now, that's not necessarily unheard of when these token generation events or an ICO takes place. People can sell off and it can happen. So, the general rule of thumb, and this is not financial advice, is that during an ICO, in general, it's understood by those that have been into these projects for a decent period of time. You want to watch it. When it gets to the heights, you definitely want to sell off because these things could very well go up for a matter of hours. They could very well go up for, hopefully days, weeks. I've even seen them go up for months. But at some point when the markets feel, okay, that's high enough, there's going to be a sell-off, which results in what is generally referred to as a correction. And then actually a place where I've been very fortunate enough to be there with the right timing, I usually watch these things, as do most. And when we feel it's kind of settling in enough, or it's what is also referred to as a dip, where the price is kind of sort of settling out, well, that could also be a great time where I myself have bought back in because I believe, hey, if it was just up here at 32 cents as CoinMarketCap showing, or 46 cents, and now let's say it's stabilizing at a certain price, it could very well regain to where it was previously if it's a good project that has a lot of long-term value in place, which in all sincerity to the Trump family, they are good in general at business. I personally, my personal opinion, see Eric and Donald Trump Jr. doing good business where they're building things for the long term. So I actually, me personally, this is not financial advice, actually think I'm interested in buying myself at the dip here for WLFI. I believe it could regain to not only where it was at during its ICO, but probably go well beyond that as the project continues to announce good value that they've created over the long term, because now we're entering into the regulated, mature phase of blockchain, as I started and stated at the beginning, with the United States government finally starting to propose and eventually pass laws. So now what's interesting, though, is that these ex-users like Crypto Uncle were alleging that Justin Sun had been dumping these coins, or these tokens rather, on the market, and that's why the project had frozen his funds. So what's interesting is at the bottom here, I'll just to continue to read the rest of his posts. He says here, as one of the early investors, I joined together with everyone. We bought in the same way and we all deserve the same rights. So he's saying, why is my wallet frozen, not others? I love and respect every member of this community. Tokens are sacred. This should be the most basic value of any blockchain. I call on the team to respect these principles, unlock my tokens, and let's move forward together. So his statement verifies and confirms, in fact, then that this is in fact his wallet that has been locked, and he does not have access to his coins any longer, or his tokens rather, any longer. So that's really interesting. I'll just go back here to show you guys this Crypto Uncle post. So the allegation that his funds were, his WLFI tokens were frozen by the project, it appears to be true, according to Justin Sun's official X account. Now, what's really interesting is if you just scroll immediately below Justin's post, you've got here comments from other ex-users. These are all allegations. Obviously, we don't know what's true or not yet, but this first user, just like Crypto Uncle, alleged that Justin came up with a 20% APY program, and that Justin here kind of talks about himself somewhat. I joined together with everyone. We bought in the same way. So he doesn't comment on the APY program here in his post, but here's another user, just like Crypto Uncle, is saying that he came up with this 20% APY. Crypto Uncle refers to it as an investment scheme. What's interesting is this first user to post here Deep says you offered the same thing that Crypto Uncle was referring to, a 20% APY on HTX, and got people to deposit their tokens. Then you shorted it and dumped the market by selling those tokens. And then he comments on the fact that Justin's post here was written by AI. So what's interesting here is Jacob King. He's a well-known X-user. He's got about 500,000 followers, but he's the CEO of SwanDesk. And so he oftentimes posts on crypto and blockchain. And a few weeks ago for a video, I actually covered his commenting on the fact that two major mining pools could very well, with Bitcoin, participate in an attack on the Bitcoin blockchain. I commented that I don't think that's very realistic, and that his opinion is pretty dark in terms of Bitcoin, which I'm really a big proponent of Bitcoin, first ever proof of work, and I don't actually think that his statements were accurate because for the reasons I gave in that video. So if you want to check that out, you can check it out. But he's a very opinionated, strong voice in blockchain. Here he has to say about Justin's post: the fact you needed ChatGPT to write this apology after trying to scam people. I don't think Justin actually did apologize. After trying to scam people for the 489th time is insane. So apparently Jacob's perspective and opinion on Justin is not a very high one. World Liberty, Justin Sun, all associated are all scammers. Avoid anything that they do or say. Now, seems like he might very well be grouping World Liberty in as scammers in that they've coordinated with Justin. Now, that being said too, I'm using ChatGPT to sometimes write things, ensure all grammar is correct. Obviously, I feed in general what I want to have said. And that being said, I'm not writing anything in Chinese. Justin Sun being originally Chinese, I believe he might be living in Singapore at this time. So I'm even doing that for English. So just because someone's using ChatGPT, I don't think by default makes them a scammer. I'm always wanting to make sure my grammar is correct. Now you can see here, he's pointing out the fact though that Justin Sun's X post includes these hyphens and these dashes. They're using that as possibly evidence that was written by ChatGPT or a large language model, a GPT, as does this Deep user. He apparently ran it through some program that shows this is a mix of AI and human. And I think it's just very interesting to continue to read a lot of the sentiment on Justin's response here on his own X profile. So you can see here this X user, or this ACE, XAE user, says that they think it's totally fair his tokens were locked. He's saying you probably had a verbal agreement with the Trumps not to sell your tokens. You obviously were using your tokens for market making with plus shorts to destroy the token chart. So I'm not sure where they're getting their evidence right now to allege to him that he was dumping outside of this locked APY program, causing shorts. And at the same time, in general, it's generally regarded, for you guys watching this right now, I'll try and simplify this as much as possible, that those that have been around the longest in blockchain are pretty familiar with how the technology works. So let's say this APY program that Justin had encouraged other WLFI token purchasers to also participate in with him, where they would put their tokens in and they would lock them. It's called staking. So they lock them for a certain period of time. And then the basic premise is that that pool of tokens, if they could hypothetically go up in value or appreciate, then all the users would participate in those profits based on the tokens that they've contributed. So say there's 100 tokens and let's say you contribute 20, well, you would then get 20% of those dividends. So not only are your tokens going up in value, but you're also getting additional profit as a result of you contributing your tokens and locking them up for a period of time or staking. Now, these allegations are pretty serious because they're basically saying, and we obviously don't know this to be true, but Justin encouraged a bunch of people to put their tokens in somewhere, and then he went ahead and shorted the market, causing potentially a dramatic drop in price. And he was doing that. If that is the case, if these allegations, the allegations are saying that he was doing that with some pretty major exchanges, OKX in Hong Kong and Binance as well, which is Binance and OKX are two of the largest exchanges in the world. So I don't actually understand how that would even be possible if someone has this locked token program, how they would be accessing the tokens from that. I'm not sure those are the allegations, but effectively the allegations would be that if he got people to lock up their tokens in a pool, and then if he then went ahead and shorted his own tokens, which would sort of, those locked tokens from the pool would have prevented those people from selling what's locked up themselves. and would obviously be a move that wouldn't feel very good to other token holders. Now, those were all allegations until these users found that his tokens, in fact, were frozen or blacklisted on the chain, until he himself made this post describing the fact that his tokens have, in fact, been locked. So this is all a developing story, all allegations. We don't know any of them to be true. But what does all this mean? Well, it does go to show that let me stop sharing, guys, with you. It does show that Justin saying his tokens have, in fact, been locked, which is just a bummer in general. Why have his tokens been locked? We will stay tuned to wait for official announcements by either Eric Trump, one of the members of the Trump family, and or the World Liberty Financial Project officially. Because in general, it just looks like a bummer, like something happened here that wasn't in the best interest. Obviously, the WLFI project felt of the market and other WLFI token holders. And it appears as if they felt that his wallet address holding these WLFI tokens was doing something where they felt the need to freeze them. So either way, I'm in general very positive and bullish on this project, knowing that the Trump sons in general do, as far as I'm aware, they do very good business. They add good value for the long term. And I actually have seen them do it all very legally compliant within and according to the regulations. And I've actually seen them be pretty objective as it comes to using the fact that their father is the president of the United States of America. I actually have personally spoken to, and I won't name names, members of Trump teams that they themselves sit on boards for the Trump family. They weren't even told about the Trump meme coin that went out right during the presidency. They weren't actually even given the opportunity by the Trumps to participate in and take advantage of that, going obviously to the market. Now, whether that would have been legal for them to do anyways, I don't even actually think it would have been illegal for them, but I'm just sharing that with you as a positive testimony that the Trump teams themselves, even with their immediate team members and their board members, are being very careful to make sure that it doesn't ever look like or is even close to the fact that they're taking advantage of the fact that their father is in the office of the presidency and that they're all financially benefiting from it. Now, I know everyone's going to have their own opinion. Everyone's going to have their own perspectives. Obviously, with Trump in the president's office and his sons doing these blockchain projects, it looks like they're definitely capitalizing on this market. But in all fairness, the objective statement could be made as well that their family, under the previous 4 years of the previous administration, was debanked. There's interviews you can go watch where Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump talk about the fact that they had hundreds of companies overnight without necessarily a valid explanation or any recourse. They had their companies debanked. So the fact that they're pushing forward on a decentralized industry like blockchain, that their father's in very much support of this to provide safe, secure, and long-term financial resources for you and me is a pretty positive and powerful thing, in my opinion. And what I shared yesterday in our first test video here on Pushing Live to Social was that it's also really remarkable if you think about it just financially, just in terms of general economics. The Trump family and blockchain, some articles are demonstrating, and I'll share those resources with you in the future. But I've already seen some journalistic reports that the Trump family, in just a matter of since the first Trump meme coin to date, 9 months in now to 2025, has amassed as much of a fortune, as much of a net worth in just blockchain projects in about 9 months as they did previously over the span exceeding 4 decades in real estate. So let's say if they'd in general made about $5 to $10 billion in real estate over the course of 4 to 5 decades, the Trump family has already exceeded that in potentially less than a year in blockchain alone. And I actually I'm Canadian, so I'm not necessarily political on one side or another. I can't vote. But in Canada, we just try to be as objective and look at the positives on all sides and in the middle as we can, just generally. In Canada, we have quite a few more political parties. And I think it's a healthy, positive thing just to look at the positives on each side. And so that being said, I think that the Trump family pushing this forward is a huge positive for us throughout this administration and for following administrations, and the impact that it's going to have throughout the whole world. Because at the end of the day, the entire blockchain industry has been super bullish From Bitcoin to Ethereum to XRP and beyond, we've all been very excited about the power, the permanence, the sovereignty, the safety, the security that this entire industry offers us globally as one big happy human family. However, until the United States has gotten around to making the laws, the whole world's kind of been in a holding, waiting pattern anyways. And it's sort of been the wild, wild west, where to date, a lot of big people like these ex-users are accusing Justin of, have been accused of scamming, of rug pulling, of taking advantage of the global markets. Well, the cool thing about regulations, as much as we might kind of want to stay away from that term in general, is that it allows for safety, it allows for security, it allows for auditing, and eventually it will allow for things like insurance from products that we will come to know, love, and trust in the future, like Peace Through Trade. So either way, that's it for today's live. Thank you very much for being here. Please feel free to like, share, and comment below this post. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think about the allegations being accused towards Justin for this WLFI project? What do you think the project is officially going to make as a statement of having blacklisted his wallet? And what do you think lies in store for the future of not only WLFI, but the global Web3 blockchain space as a whole, now that the United States administration, government, and Donald Trump's presidency have vowed to make the United States the blockchain global leader and be pushing forward laws and encouraging lawmakers now this year and for next year?